Boker Tov. Good morning, everyone. We'll begin our service on page 74, Matovu. Matovu, Matovu, Mishkanotaka Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Halaka Yaakov, Mishkanotaka Yisrael, Vani berov chasteka, Havo betaka, Eshtaka v'echa kodsheka beyirateka, Matovu, Matovu, Halaka Yaakov, Mishkanoteka Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Halaka Yaakov, Mishkanoteka Yisrael, Mishkanoteka Yisrael. Page 78. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tahora hi. On the bottom of 79, we read together, My soul came to me pure, drawn from the reservoir of the holy. All the time it remains within me, I am thankful for its thirst for compassion and justice. Let my eyes behold the beauty of all creatures. Let my hands know the privilege of righteous deeds. Baruch atah Adonai, asher beyado nefesh kol chai, veruach kol basar ish. This morning is one of our contemporary services. Sometimes we'll have a contemporary service that focuses on the liturgy of the service. Today, this service is going to focus on the Torah reading instead. And so we turn to page 200, well, almost turned to page. Here we go, got there. 244 for Seder Kriyat HaTorah, for the service of reading the Torah. Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai v'ein kemasecha malchuteka malchut kol amim umemshalteka b'chol dor v'dor Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch leolam v'ed Adonai hoz le'amo yitein Adonai yavarech et amo v'shalom Havarachamim hetiva v'yitzoncha et Zion Tivne komot Yerushalayim Tivne komot Yerushalayim Ki v'chol levad batachnu Melech Aram benisa Adon Olamim. We rise as the ark is open, page 246. Baruch You may be seated. And the microphone is wrapped around the flowers. Hold on. That is an unusual win for me in hand-eye coordination. This week's Torah portion is Ki Tavo. We spent some time at Torah study this morning talking about the very beginning part of the Parsha, which we'll be reading today. This Torah portion is also famous for having the blessings and curses, and in future years, our Torah study schedule will have us focusing on that section. The curses in particular, it contains one of the two instances in the Torah where we do not read the word as written in the Torah for reasons other than scribal error or tradition around theology. Just because some of these curses are curses. And some of them in Hebrew, the sages decided, were the four-letter variety of curses. And so our tradition for some of the curses, for one of them in particular, is to even censor it when we read it out loud. There's one word on the page and a completely different word that we read because it was just deemed to be just a little bit rude for a sanctuary, which is a fabulous statement about how our tradition for thousands of years has viewed the Torah, at once unalterable and holy, and at another point not fit for reading out loud in a sanctuary. Though we hold that paradox when we read Torah in this parsha, because there is a word for one that's used in one of the curses, and one of the bodily afflictions that happens if you shouldn't follow the covenant. And we'll talk about where that kind of language is coming from. It has a long history in ancient Near Eastern literature for why you include this kind of thing in a contract, but that's for another day. But one of those bodily afflictions is seen as just a little bit too rude for saying out loud, even though it comes from the Torah. And so our tradition holds up this scroll as the pinnacle of literature and pinnacle of Jewish life, and at the same time decides that there are moments when the Torah shouldn't be read the way that it is written, even so. The beginning of this parsha contains a ritual called the first fruits ceremony. It contains a text that we associate most with Passover because the bulk of the Passover Haggadah is a written commentary on this ritual. The first fruit, we're living in ancient Israel. Imagine ancient times. Everyone you know and everyone they know is a farmer, and maybe one oddball you've encountered in your life has a profession that's not farmer. There has to be a potter somewhere and a builder somewhere, but not many of them. Everyone's a farmer, and so the one time, if there's only one time you participated in communal Jewish life, getting off that farm in a small village far, far away, it was for the first fruits ceremony, when you take the first yield of your crop, bring it to the temple, and say these words yourself, instead of leaving it to one of the Kohanim or Levites, one of the priests in the temple, to speak these words on your behalf, like every other ritual in the Torah. This one is one for every individual to do on their own, a declaration of what it means to be Jewish, while they're bringing part of their entire world, their harvest, which is their entire world. They're bringing a piece of that with them to a holy place and uniting their daily life with a statement about what it means to be part of a people, even if you don't get to see that people very often, because farmers need to spread out to have space for their fields. And so this pinnacle ritual, like I said earlier today at Torah study, is much like Passover today, even though this happened around Shavuot, not Passover. Passover today is one of the most observed festivals in the Jewish calendar, and it is one that is led primarily by people in their own homes instead of in a communal setting with professional leaders, like we celebrate most other holidays. This was that same thing, an individual and personal religious ritual that wasn't done for you but by you in ancient times, very much like Passover has become. And so what we're going to do today is chant. I'm going to chant from the Chumash, and Bill is going to track in the Torah for us as we go. You can find the blessings for Torah on page 250 in your Chumash, in your Torah commentary, or in your prayer book. And then the Torah commentary, we're beginning on page 1140. So let's say all together the blessing for reading Torah, and I'll say the congregational response so we don't get lost. 1, 2, 3. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamborach. Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim Venatan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Notein HaTorah. Find your spot. It's right here. V'hayat ki tavo el haaretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha nachala v'rishta v'yashavta baha v'lakachta mereshit kol pri adama asher tavi me'artzecha asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach v'samta vatene v'halachta el hamakom asher yivchar Adonai Elohecha l'shakein shemo sham uvata el hakohen asher yiyeh b'yamim hahem ve'amarta elav higadati hayom l'Adonai Elohecha ki vati el haaretz asher nishba Adonai lavotenu latet lanu velakach hakohen hatene miyadecha vehinicho lifnei mizbach Adonai Elohecha ve'amarta lifnei Adonai Elohecha Arami oved avi Vayered Mitzrayma Vayagor Sham Bimtei Me'at Vayisham Legoy Gadol Atzum Barav Vayarehu Otanu HaMitzrim Vayanunu Vayitnu Aleinu Avodah Kasha Vanitzak El Adonai Elohei Avotenu Vayishma Adonai et kolenu vayar et onyenu vet amalenu et lachatzenu vayotzienu Adonai mimitzrayim b'yad chazaka uvizroa netuya uvmora gadol uvotot uvmoftim Vayivienu el hamakom hazeh Vayiten lanu et haaretz hazot eretz zavat chalav udvash ve'ata hine heveti et reshit peri hadama asher natata li Adonai V'hinachto lifnei Adonai Elohecha v'ishtachavita lifnei Adonai Elohecha v'samachta b'chol tov asher natan lecha Adonai Elohecha u'veitecha ata v'halevi v'hager asher bekirbecha. You shall leave the basket before the Lord your God and bow low before the Lord your God, and you shall enjoy together with the Levite and with the stranger in your midst all the bounty that the Lord your God has bestowed upon you and upon your household. And thus ends the famous recitation of first fruits in the temple. We say the blessing after reading Torah together on page 250. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. The Torah is lifted and dressed. We rise. Page 252, the bottom of the page, and I'm going to ask for your help with dressing. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael pi Adonai beyad Moshe. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael pi Adonai beyad Moshe. You may be seated. With the Torah in our midst, we take a moment to think of those who need a healing. The way that we take that moment and invoke the merit of having heard Torah, which in Jewish theology, in a very formal term, is the way that the Jewish people learn brownie points, reading Torah and studying Torah. But there's actually a lot of truth to that, even though it sounds tongue in cheek. That we have a form of prayer called Mitzvah that we use in these moments to leverage those points that we get for studying Torah and attach them to our prayers. We guess it's something that connects us to the antiquity, the most ancient parts of our tradition, and we use the merit of that to invoke extra blessing, whether it's communal blessing, blessing of celebration, blessing of healing. And so we take a moment now to think of those in need of healing. Page 253, you can find the word for Mitzvah, and I invite you to whisper the names of any loved ones and for those in our extended circle who are in need of healing body. period when the Jews were prohibited from reading Torah. The way that the Romans tried to execute even more control and prevent further uprising against Roman rule. And so the sages looked for another piece of the Tanakh, another piece of the Hebrew Bible to take its place in that era. A piece that might shed some light on maybe just the smallest phrase or the entirety of the Torah portion it was meant to replace. We retain that custom even though we proudly read Torah and are not prohibited from doing so, but we retain the custom of reading a haftarah, a companion to the Torah portion each week. In this case, the haftarah doesn't tie into the Torah portion so much as it ties into the season. We have 3 special readings from prophets in the lead up to Tisha B'Av, the summertime commemoration of the destruction of the temple. And then we have 7 that follow, taking us from that holiday until the high holidays. And those 7 are called the Haftarah of Consolation. In the wake of an ancient tragedy, 7 soothing passages from the prophets to help us ease out of that commemoration of some of the darkest periods of Jewish history, and words of comfort and words of strength from the prophets, so that when we arrive at the new year, we are feeling 100% on our feet and ready to engage in the spiritual work of the high holidays and also to enjoy and celebrate the new year. So this 6th haftarah of consolation comes from Isaiah chapter 60. We'll chant just the beginning of it, which may sound familiar from Lecha Dodi. That's where Lecha Dodi gets some of its lines, and I may skip around a little bit as we go. But first, the blessing before haftarah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzav divrehem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'Moshe avdo Yisrael amo u'v'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Isaiah 61. Kumi orhi kiva orech ukvod Adonai alayich zara. Arise, shine, for your light has dawned. The presence of the Lord has shone upon you. Ki hinei hachoshech yichase eretz va'arafel le'umim be'alayich yizrach Adonai ukvodo alayich yera'eh. V'halchu goyim le'orech umlachim lenogah zarchech. Nations shall walk by your light, kings by your shining radiance. Go to verse 19. Lo yelach or hashemesh le'or yomam u'noga hayareach lo ya'ir lach v'hayalach Adonai le'olam v'lohayich Latif arteh. No longer shall you need the sun for light by day, nor the shining of the moon for radiance by night. For God shall be your light everlasting. Your God shall be your glory. Lo yavo od shimshech virechech lo yeasech ki Adonai yelach leor olam. V'shalmuhu yimhei evlech ve'ameh kulam tzadikim le'olam yirshu aretz netzeh matai ma'aseh yadai lehit pa'er hakaton yeh la'elef V'hatza'ir l'goy atzum. Ani Adonai be'ita achishena. And your people, all of them righteous, shall possess the land for all time. They are the shoot that I planted, my handiwork, in which I glory. The smallest shall become a clan, the least a mighty nation. I, Adonai, will speed it in due time. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el haneman haomer ve'oseh, hamedaber mekayim, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, al haTorah ve'al havodah ve'al hanevihim ve'al yom haShabbat hazeh, shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, likdusha v'limnucha lechavod u'tifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umbarchim otach yitbarach shimcha b'fi kol chai tamid le'olam va'ed baruch ata Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. 256, we rise as the Torah is returned to the ark. Yahalelu et Shem Adonai, ki nizkav shemo levado, hodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren la'amo, tila lechol chasidav, livnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Ilekachov natati lachem, Torati hatazovu, Eskayim hi lamachadikim ba, Betom teha meusar deracheha, Darkenoam before netivoteha, Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai, Elaka benatsuba, Kadesh Yameinu, Kekedem. 282, Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedula le'yotzeh bereshit, shelo atzanu pigoyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mitzvot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korhim, u'mishkachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech malchei hamelachim hakadosh baruch hu. 287. First, we read the top of the page together in English. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. V'nehemar v'haya Adonai l'melech ha'oretz bayom hahu yehi Adonai echad Oshemo echad. You may be seated. Our thoughts turn now to those who are no longer with us, loved ones, the members of our communities who died at this season in years past, as well as in recent days. (288) When I die, give what's left of me away. to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking in the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. If you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. For Shloshim, those we've lost in our community in the last 30 days, we remember Shirley Erickson, Sherwin Zimmerman, Milton Diddy, Julian Loeb, Richard George Weimer Sr., and our yahrzeits those who have died at this time in years past. George B. Ahrens, Charles Altmont, Melvin Anish, Max Bergman, Annette L. Block, Katie Schlanke-Bowski, Victor Couple-Burke, Bonnie Cooper, Francis Duber, Muriel Franklin Frank, Brian Russell Friedman, Mayor Goldberg, Gertrude Guido, Harry Haas, Nathan Katz, Edith Kaufman, Victor F. Kirschman, Leonard W. Krinsky, Florence Latner, Paul Levine, Charles Edward Loeb, Israel Samuel Luria, Isidore Manassis, Philip Phillips, Samuel Rabin, Sam A. Schulman, Sylvia L. Sylvan, Leon Max Tellis, Bertha Levy Wheel, Melvin Weissman, Bella G. Ratner Zucker. There are others you've come to remember. You may share their names at this time. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be a blessing. We rise together. Page 294 for Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba, be'alma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabba mevarach le'alam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha b'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. We'll remain standing just a moment of announcements before we turn to our closing. Our closing song. Next week we'll have a Barina service, a service that is rooted in tradition and led with the help of many congregational volunteers. That service is accompanied by youth service for kids of all ages, and the kids will rejoin us once we get to the Touro service. And that service next week will be approximately 90 minutes, followed by a communal lunch. We had one of these last week. There were 55 people here. It was really spectacular for everyone to come together, and we had 12 members of this extended community engaged in leading the service, chanting Torah, gabbaying, honors, the works. 12. That is a huge amount of participation to squeeze in such a narrow span, but that is our goal with these services. As always, Torah study will begin at 9, followed by a Shabbat, our Shabbat snack next week. We'll close today. Oh, and don't forget about the Slichot service, which is this coming Saturday. Program begins at 8, and the service is at 8:45. It's a service that we do in the dark in the sanctuary, which our sanctuary in the dark with backlit stained glass. Forget about the spirituality of it. That alone is worth it. But it's a beautiful service where we put together some of the most powerful pieces of High Holiday liturgy. Our tradition is to use that to orient us to the season, and in 50 minutes, change the Torah covers from their usual to their white for the High Holidays, and spend some time on some of the most iconic moments of the High Holidays, like Shofar and Avinu Malkeinu, to gear us up for Rosh Hashanah. Our closing song is on 300, there's another copy of this, 322. We'll close with Ein Keloheinu. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Micheloheinu, Mikadonenu, Mikemalkeinu, Mikemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Odonenu, Nodel Emalkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Yaira, 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 Shabbat Shalom, everyone.